Hello today, and welcome to our podcast. Today, champions are built, and this is Coach Ejay, the brand.
And this is Coach Aaron, the source. Today's topic, guys, we're calling it exposure or exposed. Uh, Something that was prompted by something that EJ said in one of our previous podcasts. And I like that. Um, and, let's look at it from a couple different standpoints. One, what's proper exposure? And two, I guess, are athletes in such a rush to have exposure? Are they actually getting exposed? So, what are your thoughts, EJ?
Man, I tell you, Aaron, I have so many things going through my head right now when we said that initially, exposed or exposure. And it leads me, being a leader of a baseball club, a travel ball organization. I'm going to use those terms, said baseball club, but we're a baseball club.
Mhm.
And that's important because it encompasses a lot of different things. So when you think about exposure or being exposed, I think about players always in a rush to be seen by somebody,
Mhm.
like someone in the stands or somebody told them, you need to do this. Well, as we know, Aaron, every athlete is different and every athlete has their own personal journey. And that is through a process of evolution through their maturity of their body and if they're ready mentally and all that. And I think when I think the exposure and being exposed, I think about, is that athlete ready to handle what's going to really happen to them when they go to get exposure? And
Right.
I'm going to tell you, when you go and get exposure, you need to be ready physically and mentally because they're going to undress you. They're going to undress you and tell you how it really is. At least the good ones are.
Right.
People that keep on saying, "Oh, come to this showcase. Ah, come and get your rating. Ah, you're doing great." They're just trying to collect your money.
Right.
And then when you do get exposed, you're like, "But that they told me I was good.
Yeah. Yeah.
What happened to me, Aaron?" So I think about, understand exposure and understand about being exposed. Because what I just explained to you right there, you got exposed. And I see a lot of young athletes get exposed, and they're then they quit. Or they're like, it's over. And they're a sophomore. And it's over already? Oh,
Right.
come on, So understand, when are you ready for exposure? And regardless, you're going to get exposed either way. But be ready. That's what I'm saying. That's my initial thoughts today as we talk about this subject.
Yeah. I like where you went with that because you're basically talking about preparation. And we have a saying, it's better to keep them guessing about who you are than to confirm you're not who they want. And
Absolutely.
I run into that a lot because I'll have athletes who say, "Hey, Aaron, I've got this showcase coming up," and I'll say, "When?" "Oh, it's in 2 weeks. I got to run a 60." I'm like, "Don't run the 60.
Don't run it.
Don't run the 60."
Don't run it.
Because all you're going to do is show them that you're not what they want in that regard.
Right.
And so it's like a job interview. You just don't show up. Do your homework, do the prep work, be knowledgeable about what you're going to do, get your mind and your body ready, then walk through the doors and say, "Hey, I'm looking for this job." And I think the athletes, because like you said, they get hyped up by these letters because they write the letters in a way that everyone thinks they're speaking directly to them.
Right.
uh,
Right.
it's almost like publisher sweepstakes. You won $1 million, or
Million
this could
dollars.
be it. And it's like, dude, they got your name out of database. So even that, even though it might say, "Dear Aaron, we've been following you closely, and we'd like to invite you to our select." That, and like, well, where did you see me? But the letters are written to speak to you personally in a way, but they're really just they're marketing tools
Right.
to get you to come in and spend your money. And so people see that and they don't want to miss the opportunity.
Right.
They think there's an opportunity there and they don't want to miss it. So, oh man, I got to go to this. They're looking for me. No, they're looking for your check. Um,
Right. They are. They're looking for
yeah.
your. They really are.
And so you've got to not be influenced or swayed by those sorts of marketing gimmicks to get you to go and participate in something that one you're not prepared for. Even though it might be a legit and viable vehicle for you to be recruited, if you're not ready, you got to just let that one go by.
Right.
You always want to put your best foot forward, and especially nowadays. Back in the day when I was competing, the only time you saw stats was like if they were in the newspaper. They're in the newspaper and they're gone. So unless you can find them now on microfiche, a lot of my performance you're not gonna ever see again.
Right.
And so it disappears. But with the internet, anything you do, you might as well think of it as being accessible for perpetuity. Your grandkids are going to be able to pull up and say, hey, Dad, if you were in any kind of in competition of any note, they're going to be saying, Dad, how'd you go 0 for 7 at the such and such? Or Granddad, they're going to be able to find it. And so will these scouts. So if you lay an egg just because you've gone someplace and you were ill prepared, you've actually got to erase that now.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because you don't know what's going to pop up when they do that search. Eric Johnson, special combine, da-da-da. What did he do?
Right.
He did what? Is this the same guy? So I would just warn people not to rush to get in front of scouts because you can get exposed. And that's what these showcases are really ultimately about, is for people to see you and to see who you are as an athlete. And you want to show them the best that you are, the best that you can be.
Aaron, I'm glad you said that. It got me thinking about a couple experiences that have happened this week. One is that I had a player from another country inquire about our company and wanting to come practice and do stuff. And so they gave me their link to their showcase, and I went in and looked at it and went, wow, whoa. And, the player got exposed.
Yeah.
And I go, well, maybe that's just not the right fit here.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they went out and spent a lot of, and this is a young athlete, a freshman, and this is what is out there in public on him. And I'm like thinking, man, this kid's not doing a service to himself by putting this out there as a first look, and understanding the first look is important. Yeah. People don't understand that. The first look and the second look are important.
Yeah. No one's going to dig through your whole library. And right. and not to cut you off, go ahead and finish your point, but I want to follow up with that.
But, Aaron, the first look's important. And I always tell players that they want to go to a showcase, go to a local one that doesn't have any video, and you're just getting the experience of what it feels like to be in the setting, and you understand what that looks like. And the key to this is get the experience so you know what the feel is, so you get the nerves out and you can get to see what a showcase looks like. A local one that doesn't mean that much, and it's not like this national showcase, that people are enamored with.
Right.
So I'll let you finish your thought, though, because that's off that first and second look thing.
You just mentioned something that kind of provoked something in me, and it just kind of was a red flag. It said, and it's basically, parents, don't be in such a rush to post everything your kid does.
Right.
because you're sitting up there posting a whole library of their performances, and unless you have the real eye for what scouts are looking for, you may not want to put that up there.
Exposed right there.
Because now coach so and so, coach D1 coach goes on the internet, pulls up your kid, and there's whatever, 12 races, 12 at bats, and okay, they might be singles, doubles, triples, whatever. But he's looking at the kid's not hitting a ball off the barrel of the bat.
Right.
The kid's not, his hands aren't coming through a really good path. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? They can now pick your kid apart and say he doesn't have a D1 swing. I can't use this kid.
Right. 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 Right.
Regardless, even though the moment in time, because what does everyone do? Everyone puts up their highlights, right? But just because it's a highlight and just because it's a successful moment doesn't mean it's at the level of skill and execution that is going to entice a coach to say, yeah, I like that. Now, your son hits a line drive in the area codes off a kid who's throwing 92 miles an hour, or a well-known pitcher, whatever. You put that up there, coach says, okay, good. He roped that. I know, I'm familiar with that pitcher. It's good at bat.
Right. That's a good at bat. And you know what? That's a good situation and a good experience. It
Yes.
doesn't mean you're getting a scholarship. It doesn't mean that you're all that. It just means that you had a good moment, a coach recognized it and put a check by your name, and it was a good thing. So when they do talk to you later, they can say, yeah, I saw that at bat, but I need to come and see you somewhere else.
Exactly.
It's not the end all. And I think a lot of people think if you go to a showcase,
Right.
get exposure, it's the end all. It's not. It's a long journey through your athlete's life. And now you need to weigh that.
Right. If
Exposure versus exposed.
Yeah. And if I was a college coach, I'd be more interested in seeing a kid who runs a race and maybe takes third or fourth in a competition of other highly skilled sprinters than to see him blow out a bunch of also rans at a dual meet.
Right. Right.
That's going to tell me a lot more about that athlete, because again, as coaches, we're not just looking at the successful moment. We're looking at the process. How is that athlete getting there?
Right.
And if you just show your kid hitting off a tee, well, okay, there's some mechanics there that I like, and I see there may be some things to work with. Kid may have some aptitude. Or I see a kid blowing out the field, and he's a 10-5 sprinter against 11 flat sprinters or 12 second sprinters. I can say, okay, well, let me watch his running technique. So there's some value, but it's not going to sell, because the next thing that me as a coach is going to say, okay, what's he going to do now with kids of his, against kids of his caliber? You're going to say, what can this kid do, or how can this kid hit against quality pitching?
Right.
So I just think you got to be careful about what you're putting up on the internet. I'm not saying don't film and collect that library, because I think it's great for memories and all that stuff, but maybe keep that under the private toggle, not the public toggle for everyone to see.
Yeah, man. I mean, you couldn't have said any better. And it just gets me to think about what you explained about that sprinter. And college coaches that I talk to, which is a plethora, especially throughout the whole year, but we're getting into a really crucial recruiting period time right now during the start of May here, all the way through the summer, into the summer and through the fall. And the number one thing I hear is that I want to know how that guy handles failure.
Mm-hmm.
So you get exposed, and you're not doing, you're not having your day, how do they deal with it? And you're a good player, okay? How are you dealing with that? How are you going to deal with that? So there's another layer to that, Aaron, about once you get exposed, how do you deal with it? And where do you go next? Because coaches want more than one look
Yeah.
unless your skills are just not there and you got exposed and you're not strong enough, you're not physically there yet, or whatever. The point being here is that how do you deal with this stuff? And that one look is not your death penalty, as I say,
Right.
but could be your way of maybe showing them a trait,
Right.
a fixed tool that says, that guy's a competitor. I like the way he handled himself. I like the way he went about the process when he wasn't successful. And that can lead to good exposure too.
Right.
There's a two-way street in this,
Right.
exposure, positive exposure, negative exposure, expose correctly, not exposed. There are so many layers to this. And I tell people this, I said, listen, if you're going to go out, please be ready. Be ready physically and mentally and do your homework. Do your homework and train. Train. Don't go to a showcase or don't go get exposed or have exposure if you haven't practiced
Yeah.
the event. I mean, Aaron, when you were running track, you went to go practice the event. So when you got an event, you could just go. Well, you have to be that same way in this process. Practice the event so you can go out there and give your best effort and be prepared. You said it earlier, preparation. I thought that was key when you said that, being prepared.
So let me ask you this to kind of just continue on the same thread that I was on. I would assume logically, then I would think if you're putting together a highlight reel or a library of things for your athletes, kind of, i.e., recruiting,
Okay.
you should have that really be screened by a coach who can
Yes.
say, and within that, there in that catalog of items that you're putting up there, there should also be failures. So maybe a kid battles at an at bat against a good pitcher, still strikes out or gets out, but that can show a lot about an athlete as well, right?
Right.
Character. So I think it's not just, if I'm correct, it's not just going to be putting, you know, the best moments of our life up there, but putting a broad spectrum of some of the things that the athletes, done. Maybe it's a bobble that they stay with it, and try and make the play. Maybe it's congratulating a teammate when they. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So,
It's Aaron, you're talking about real. This is how it really is.
yeah,
When I see athletes send over stuff to people, okay, it's the best moments.
yeah, yeah,
And it's all it is like this highlight reel of it's kind of like, you see Michael Jordan and the
yeah,
GOAT
yeah.
basketball.
It's always a dunk. It's always a dunk. You
Man,
know.
the dunk and it's beautiful and
Mhm.
everything is great.
Right.
And people need to understand that college coaches, recruiters, or wherever you want to say, associate head coaches, they want to see real.
Mhm.
Like if I send a video out on a kid and I show him 10 swings, I give him 10 swings. Now, all those 10 swings aren't, I don't piece them up and go, oh, he hit this line drive. Let me put this in the video. Here are 10 swings. Take a look because you're not going to score up 10 balls in a row, Aaron, but
Yeah.
the mechanics,
Yeah.
the way they swing, there's a story behind that.
Right. Yeah. So you're talking about, this is how he hit a high fastball. This is how he hit a ball low on the outside. This is how he hit a breaking ball.
It's real. It's real. I
Yeah.
can't even tell you anything more. I'm so passionate about it. It's real, man.
Hmm.
Real is sports. Real is competition. Real is how it is at a level of competitive sports. It's just real. You're not always going to be your best,
Right.
but you need to give your best effort and you need to be mentally there. So what you said earlier, going down that path, yeah, man, understand that, man. You can't sugarcoat stuff. You're gonna get, hey, if you sugarcoat stuff, Aaron, you won't get exposed, brother.
Well, I have nothing else to say. I think that I'm tapped out. I'm exposed.
I'm
But
exposed too. And
but um, but
that's
I
good.
think you're right. I really do. So, parents, I guess to say, or athletes, there's a lot to this. And, one, don't rush to get out there and and for the exposure. Two, understand that you got to put your best foot forward. And three, the exposure you want should be multifaceted to show all aspects of your athlete.
Well
Got
said.
anything to add to that?
No, well said, man. That wraps us up today. This is Champions Are Built. This is Coach Eric Johnson, the brand.
And this coach, Aaron Thinkpin, the source. Almost forgot my name.
We'll see you.
We'll see you.